Matthew is a United States Army veteran who was deployed twice to Afghanistan in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. So I would like you to give a warm welcome to singer-songwriter Matthew Jones.
We got this. Have a scotch and a cigarette. I close my eyes and let my mind just drift away. Never much to say. And I try to keep my head held high, knuckles to the wall as I dig inside. I know I'm all on my own. I tell myself that is what I want. I'm losing my mind and it's all for nothing, man. I'm trying to understand. And I try to keep the beast at bay, but I'm 1 foot in the ground. And they don't care about the price I paid or my friends who ain't around. Nobody even knows my name, and this old place just hasn't changed. The light's not shining through the windows now. I'm just a ghost in my hometown. The light's not shining through the windows now. I'm just a ghost in my hometown. Got a call just the other day, family of a friend who suddenly passed away. We had to lay him down. I try not to let them see me cry when I talk about the men who fought by my side. I know I gotta let it go. But these voices won't let me be. They're screaming from the grave. They're telling me that this is just the price we pay. And I try to keep the beast at bay, but I'm 1 foot in the ground. And they don't care about the price I paid or my friends who ain't around. Nobody even knows my name, and this old place just hasn't changed. The dark creeps in and the sun fades out. I'm just a ghost in my hometown. The dark creeps in and the sun fades out. I'm just a ghost in my hometown. Try to keep the beast at bay, but I'm 1 foot in the ground. And they don't care about the price I paid or my friends who ain't around. Nobody even knows my name, and this old place just hasn't changed. It's carved into the granite just above this ground. I'm just a ghost in my hometown. Carved into the granite just above this ground. I'm just a ghost in my hometown.
It's Tom Lamog here. Greetings from Eugene, Oregon this evening. Coming to you from my daughter's studio here, which is looking pretty good, actually. Anyway, I'm Tom Lamog. I'm an instructor with Guitars for Vet Cyber chapter and with Cav Arts, the Challenge America Veteran Arts community. Welcome to Song Sung True, a Veteran's View, where tonight we feature Matthew Jones. And let me tell you, he is a combat veteran who is actively pursuing music, guitar, and songwriting. He's one of many talented, remarkably talented individuals representing the various branches of service, I should say. And he's here to talk a little bit about himself, the stories, the music. There's so much to go over here. Matt, go ahead and unmute. And I would like to find out from you after playing this video, how does it feel? I mean, after knowing that it's like this is something that it's not anything you've been doing years and years of doing. This is fairly new, isn't it?
Well, I mean, in terms of getting on the stage and playing music in front of people, yeah, that is very new. It's just kind of taken off the last 18 to 20 months. It's a blessing. I've been playing guitar for longer than I've been married. Yeah. But I mean, it's one thing that I've done for a really, really long time, and I enjoy it. And it kind of took a new shape for me. I know you're going to get into some of these questions, but it took a new shape for me once I had a traumatic brain injury. It kind of showed me music can be used for something else, and then through that, I was able to connect with other veterans just like me, and help kind of champion their aspirations too. What their ambitions are. So,
I would imagine that in the compressed time frame from playing, writing, and then all of a sudden it's kind of like winning songwriting contests and performing. For when I saw this video, this is one of those things where it's like, okay, let me go ahead and find out who Matthew Jones is. And it was like a huge crowd of people. And after you and I had an opportunity to get to know you a little bit and, just find out, all right, well, how long have you been playing? Because, I've talked with some of our past guests, songwriters who've been doing this for years, and you happen to win this contest to bring you to this particular stage celebrating Wreaths Across America. And they asked you to sing to their crowd. Now, scary. Have you done anything like that before? Or is this kind of like out of left field? It's like, okay, sure, I'll do it.
Well, I would say that I hadn't done anything like that prior to Denver, where I met Karen. But it was a much different environment in Denver. In Denver, you're on a stage and you're kind of all dressed up. And I mean, if you call it slacks and a black shirt and a tie dressed up, then I was pretty dressed up. But you walk out on stage and there's a bunch of people out in the audience, but you don't see them. The lights are on you. You're like, okay, no one's there. At Wreaths Across America dinner in DC, you saw everybody, all of them looking at you. And it's just like, we got this. That was just me kind of hurting a little bit of nervousness on stage.
Gosh. So, and I'm thinking, all right, let's go back. Let's step back a little bit. You performed not only in Washington, D.C., where people saw you and you saw them. You performed in Denver, where you won, the songwriting contest. You performed, with your guitar. Before that, you you had done some songwriting and you wrote the song that won the award. You probably didn't think that this was anything that would be really recognized, but can you talk about really what is it about that song that prompted you to go on to do that?
Well, I mean, the song in and of itself was never intended for anybody to hear. Um, it was something that was written, at a time where mentally I wasn't in a really good place, or some things that I was struggling with, some things that I had kind of compartmentalized and put on the back burner. Um, when you don't deal with them, I mean, the burner's still on, it's still cooking. So all that stuff I wasn't dealing with began to have an impact. So when you listen to that song, like I said, it came from a time when mentally I was in a real bad spot. Um, and the first chorus, it says, "The light's not shining through the windows now. I'm just a ghost in my hometown." Right? That line came from a very real moment where I was standing in my living room looking out my front windows, and I was taking a mental inventory on which branches would support my weight. Um, and it scared me. I felt like I didn't have a hand on the wheel, that, these things, these intrusive thoughts that we just kind of let, kind of corrupt us, were eventually going to do what they do, you know? So in a moment, right, kind of snapped out of it. And I was like, I got to write this down, because if I'm feeling this way, someone else is too. Um, so yeah, I mean, for all intents and purposes, I never wanted anybody to hear it. I just
Yeah.
wanted an outlet for what I was dealing with.
I'd like to actually step back even farther, and that is, let's talk about your military career. Um, Maybe you can kind of help paint the picture of who you were before you became that songwriter, so we can kind of like follow this trail of music and songwriting. But can you share with us the motivation to join the military?
Well, I mean, times were kind of tough. I was a young man, and I was married. I had very young children, and life in southeast Nebraska wasn't exactly booming, 20 years ago. So some jobs that kind of, fell to the wayside, or they were seasonal, and it was, well, I got to provide some, some stability, for my family. So we went to a recruiter's office, and in Lincoln they had a spot that had all the four major ones. Um, and I went to each one of them, right? Army, of course, I went to last because I was about to drive home. Um, but I went into the Air Force, talked to their recruiters, and they said, well, this or that, or you have too many dependents. And so I was like, bummer. So I stepped out and walked across the hall to the Navy office. And I asked them, I was like, do you guys have the same dependent rules as the Air Force? And they're like, well, how many kids do you have? And so I told them, and unfortunately, they mirrored the same answer. Yeah, well, you got too many dependents. You're kind of a hot mess. Um, but then I walked down to the Marine Corps office because I thought that was a good idea. When I walked in there, they were like, "We don't care how many kids you have. You got way too many tattoos." And I was like, "Oh man, bummer." So I walked back to the car where my wife and my kids are, in their car seats. And I walked back to the car. I was like, "Nope, 3 out of 4. 3 out of 4 have said
Oh,
no already. So back it up. Let's just go home." And she's like, "Are you sure you don't want to go into the Army office?" And I was like, "I don't." And she's like, "Just go see what they say." So I walked in there and I was like, "All right, you guys have the same dependent rules as the Navy, the Air Force, and the same tattoo policies as the Marine Corps." And they're like, "Let me see your tattoos." So I showed them my tattoos, and they're like, "Your uniform's going to cover that. You're fine." So I was like, "Holy smokes!" So
wow,
yeah, that essentially started
nice.
the ball rolling down the hill. So
Oh my goodness. Hey, I know that I've actually checked out a couple of interviews before we met up tonight, and there was one that had mentioned that you had two deployments during Operation Enduring Freedom, and maybe you can share with us where you served, or the majority of your time. Where were you when you were in service?
I did. So when I deployed to Afghanistan, both times I was with the 19th Engineer Battalion out of Fort Knox, Kentucky. I was there for about 6 years, made the rank of staff sergeant. And then my first sergeant told me, he's like, "Hey, you just showed up on a loss roster to go to Alaska." And I was like, "No, I didn't." And he's like, "Yeah, you did." And I was like, "No, I didn't." And he's like, "Come to my office." When he said come to my office, I was like, "Oh man, he's not bluffing." So we went in there and he showed me the list. And of course, there was Staff Sergeant Matthew Jones, Fort Richardson, Alaska. And I was like, "Dang it, I'm going to Alaska." So I get there, I freeze because if you ain't ever been to Alaska, it is cold. Um, but I get there in September of 2012, and then I medically retired out of the military from Joint Base Elmendorf in 2019. So yeah, spent a good deal of time up there in Alaska. Fell in love with the scenery. Um, it's probably one of the prettiest places I've ever seen. But like I said, it's cold. It's very cold.
Yeah.
So
There must have been a few people along the way that you came into that left an impression upon you. Um, can you share any thoughts on that?
I look for, good things in a lot of people, even those who probably aren't deserving of it. But as you get to kind of pursue your career and you get to meet people, you really kind of discover who you are, and the things that you like about each one of those people that you meet, those eventually becomes the things that you become. So I mean, I wanted to be around well-rounded people who champion people's ideas, who encourage people, but also around the same group of people that weren't scared to roll their sleeves up and get down to business and help when absolutely needed. So um, yeah, I mean, this whole music thing I'm doing now is because I'm not the only one that feels the way I feel. So if there's someone else out there, I'd love to talk to them. I'd love to help them out. You're not fighting it alone. So uh,
And
stronger.
did I think in our planning conversation, there's a lot of stuff that you're doing to help veterans along as well too. Is this what we're talking about right now, seeking out those types of individuals who look for the greater good? Is this what kind of is a catalyst that keeps you going on to help these veterans, even as a veteran yourself?
I think the response that I get from people regarding my music is really what kind of creates that momentum. Um, the song "Ghost in My Hometown" resonated a lot with Vietnam era veterans. When they came home, they weren't welcomed home. They were spat on and they were called baby killers, and they didn't get the welcome home that I got. Um, so when I played this song, I mean, I saw some wet faces from our Vietnam era veterans, and it just tells me that trauma that we experience in life, like it transcends generations of people. But just because it does that doesn't mean you can't grow through what you go through. Um, so yeah, I try to reach out. I try to be positive. I'd much rather be you know a beacon of hope than a lightning rod of hate. So that's just kind of what I want to be.
Well, based on my conversations with people who know you, that rings true. It really does. And I want to ask you now. I'll take you away from the military questions, and let's talk a little bit about music and when you discovered music. Was this something that you discovered while you were serving, or was this before you enlisted? At what point did music finally catch your attention?
Okay, well, I'm a back up. I used to play a pretty mean air guitar back before I graduated high school. So music is it's just always been that kind of constant thing in my life. Whether I'm in my car, I'm out working, whatever it is, whether I'm playing the guitar, it's always been that thing. And I only saw it one way. If I like music, I like to hear it, I like to play it. Um, it didn't change from that viewpoint until XYZ thing happened, and it kind of turn that light switch back on. Like, whoa, okay, all right, music used to heal. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, prior to that, if someone said you could use music, you know, to help heal from, you know, traumatic events, I'd have laughed at them. You know, because music was just a constant thing to me. But then, you know, some things happen: traumatic brain injury, PTSD, um, loss of friends. You know, you really start to kind of reshape the way that you see things. Um, yeah, and music actually became what I didn't think it was going to. It became a, you know, kind of an outlet for me, a way to kind of heal and talk and express things that I'm feeling, and, you know, things that other people may be feeling too. So, um, yeah, I'm so happy to be where I'm at right now, because I get to be on this. You know, I get to write music. I get to play my guitar. There's a lot of amazing people that I met that they don't get to do that.
Matt, maybe right now would be a good time to break for a song. Um, do you
What are you
have
gonna?
something? What am I gonna?
Oh, you're
I
talking
have
about me.
spoons here somewhere, but I think I would love to hear some of the songs that you've shared online. Now I know that this is something that you're continuing to pursue. It's not like, some of the other artists that we've had on in the past where they've got the release of their second album or CD or anything like that. But I know that you're continually looking to write new songs. I think I stopped by and checked out some of your latest projects. But what have you got for us right now?
So I was gonna play a song that kind of, you know, it kind of talks about, you know, bits and pieces of my life, me and my wife, our kids, and then kind of how quickly time goes by. So this one I'm gonna play for you is called "I Remember." Let me get situated here. I remember skipping school. I remember the local pool when I saw you sitting there. Oh God, what do I say? She throws a look my way, and all I can do is stare. 17 and 23, 36 and 43, 54 and 65. And these ages come and go as fast as the wind blows. It is the story of her life. And I remember you and me holding hands in the nursery, staring at a baby girl. Baby brother's on the way, found out just yesterday. I'm gonna give you both the world. 17 and 23, 36 and 43, 54 and 65. And these ages come and go as fast as the wind blows. It is the story of her life. And I know that I will see you're there waiting on me, just on the other side. I see your face in a picture frame, and I hear you calling my name. So I close my eyes. 17 and 23, 36 and 44, It is the story of her life. And I remember skipping school. And I remember the local pool. And I remember you and me holding hands in the nursery. And this is the story of our life. This was the story of my life.
Matthew Jones. All right. Hey, you got some applause there.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Now, first song, second song, what number is that you've written?
Oh, I have enough for 2 albums.
Oh, all
Yeah.
right.
Well, they're
So
all
good,
original.
good to know. Why haven't we seen them out there? Maybe you know what? Like I said, I'm kind of new to your music, so I didn't check Spotify to see if you have anything.
It's not there.
Oh, okay. Phew.
Not yet.
Then I demand. No, I don't do that. So let's talk about songwriting for this particular song. Maybe you have a process. Maybe you have a formula. I know it's very personal for songwriters. They don't typically follow the same template, so to speak. Do you have a process that you follow that seems to work for you?
Uh, so sometimes it just happens. I'll sit down with an idea and it just immediately things start clicking, different lines, different lyrics, different kind of viewpoints, and everything's just firing on all cylinders. Other times I'll have like a really catchy hook and then I'll write it down and play a little bit. And I'm like, okay, I got nothing. I don't know what to do with it. So I get up and, I'll actually, leave it for a little while and come back with a fresh set of ears, and try again. And the reason I kind of do that, that's the one thing I do that's consistent is I'll try not to finish a project all at once unless everything's firing on all cylinders. But I try to make a habit of taking breaks. Because I feel like when I come in and I try to force a song through and get it completed, it really loses a lot of energy. Maybe certain words or lyrical lines could be reworded to kind of land a little better. So yeah, I try to take breaks.
So it's not usually something you do in a single sitting, unless, of course, it's like it has fallen from the sky and I'm clear as to what I need to write.
Yeah.
It's, yeah, yeah.
And so one thing I learned in Denver, I went to there was a little songwriting workshop, and they had said that everyone loves a really pretty painting, but that never happens if the painter doesn't approach the canvas, right? So taking time and actually coming down and working on songwriting, it's something you're gonna get better at. So I just try to make a conscious effort to come down and spend 30 minutes if I can, just 30 minutes, write down whatever comes through your head. So, and then sift through it later. But yeah, just try to make a conscious effort of, writing when I need to and taking breaks because I need to. So
It sounded like maybe you approach your lyrics before you approach the melodies and harmonies and music. Would that be true?
I don't really have a plug and play kind of, I sit down or I think of a melody or I think of the lyrics. I'll have something, just driving in the car. I'm just kind of popping my head. And so I'm trying to, like drive and grab my phone, like record this, and stay on the road. But most times what happens is I'll get home and I've just been thinking it the whole time. So the whole drive, I get home, I record it. And I go through my phone right now. I got just a slew of recordings of just different concepts or ideas or things I want to try. Yeah, it's
Well, good that you make use of the technology, for sure. Yeah. It makes it a lot easier, especially if you're like I used to do that when I would ride the train. It's kind of like I'm using my iPhone to scratch down these ideas for songs and such. And once I wrote an entire song on the train, which is like weird. But yeah, I'm glad to hear that you are also making use of the technology. Now let's talk about maybe in the past, were you a creative writer? Do you consider yourself, someone who writes poetry or short stories or anything like that? Did songwriting basically, I want to do this? Did it happen immediately? So,
Uh,
yeah.
well, so like I mentioned, I've been playing guitar for over 20 years, so playing was always something that I loved to do, um, and I never really kind of delved into the songwriting um, till Brian. I want to say probably about 6 years ago,
Hmm.
like really started focusing, um, and then I mean, even back then, deciding that I wanted to start writing, I spent a lot of time looking at an empty piece of paper with a pen or a pencil, just like, I got nothing. Like, what am I going to write about? And then, of course, when an idea hits you, it's not a convenient time. You know, you're just like, oh, I don't have my phone and I'm on the crapper. you know, Finally.
Oh, all right. Well,
So,
that's how, sometimes, they say it, sometimes it falls out of the sky. Other times, well,
yeah,
it comes to you at weird times.
I wish it was
Um,
an easy process. I really do, but it's consistency, repetition, make time to write, and you'll start to see how you're creating new ideas, or you're putting different things together. And what I love about songwriting is I can choose to write about a specific topic, but make it sound like it could be about something else. Um, like I have a song I wrote called Gunner, and it's a song about my dog, and how big of a pain in the butt my dog was.
yeah.
But it does kind of come across in two other ways. It could come across as a kind of a tumultuous relationship where it's just always, nothing ever seems to have an upside to it. Um, or kind of, battling those inner things that, like that inner dialogue, that kind of devil on your shoulder, angel on the other,
Yeah.
because you have those, intrusive thoughts, and it could be you're kind of battling those things. Um,
It's
yeah,
interesting. Yeah. You can actually start down the path thinking this is what I'm going to write about
yeah,
and go through some iterations where it's like all of a sudden the story's kind of changed and it sounds better like this. Does that happen often? Do you change like midstream in your writing?
kind of. Um, doesn't happen a lot, but I'll kind of notice where I was thinking something, and so I start writing, and I get through the song, and I get it all written and mixed, and then I'm listening to it, and I'm like, oh, this could really apply to like another person I know, or something I heard,
Mhm.
uh, not necessarily a song about a bad dog, but
True. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
so
very good. Hey, Paul, I'm going to bring you up on screen here because I know that I know we've got some questions coming through the chat, and I want to make sure we get to them because there's one that looks like it could be recording or songwriting related. So, anything to share at this point?
Yeah, and before I go to the chat, I just wanted to say, Matthew, I'm a civilian. My dad served in the Army in World War II, and he also was an engineer. He was a topographical engineer,
okay,
and they were put down in the Philippines to map the terrain before they moved the assets there. So he was kind of like ahead of the tip of the spear.
yeah.
I'd be curious, like engineer wise, what were some of the like skills you used for your in the army that when you were there?
Well, I mean, so I came into the Army as a plumber. Um, and now it doesn't sound as cool as what the other options sounded. I went, as I said, I had my wife with me, and we had gone in and talked to the recruiter, and he had pretty much narrowed down. Okay, based on your ASVAB score, which wasn't that high, he said you could be three things. He said you could be a biochemical weapons specialist, and I was, ooh, what's that? Tell me more. Is that like Nicolas Cage in the movie The Rock? My wife's like, nope, you're not doing that, you know.
Smart woman.
And then they offered, you know, a Cav Scout, which was a 19 Delta. Um, and my wife was like, what do they do? And so they kind of filled her in a little bit. She's like, next. The last option we had was a plumber, right? Now, before I joined, I had a little extra weight on me, you know. And so my wife, she tapped me on the arm. She's like, you could do that. You got the backside for that. And I was like, oh, okay, here we go. So I came in as a plumber. I did zero plumbing, did a lot of like carpentry, did some electrical, some mason stuff or masonry stuff. Um, I tried to do some plumbing in Afghanistan. Didn't really work out. So yeah.
Great. Well, thanks. All right. So a question, I'm going to say this is from Anonymous. They want to know how you kept your air guitar in tune. They hear those
Oh,
are tough to keep in tune.
by ear.
We do have a question from Mr. Aardvark. I don't even want to ask what Aardvark to your pie references, but he said, I see he has a small writing and recording station. What's the ideal environment to be in for you, and what kind of ambiance do you feel you perform best in during your creative process?
Okay, that is actually a really, really good question. Um, so I kind of break it up to where if I'm in a creating phase, this is where I'm going to be at. You know, if I'm actually recording track for track, trying to get the mixes right, um, in kind of that writing phase, I try to put that into a different place. I don't want my writing location to be the same as, you know, like my recording location, because then I feel like I'm mashing two things together. So I try to have a nice quiet space where I can go and focus on just writing. Um, and then after I get done writing, you know, and I want to come down here and I want to noodle around and turn the amplifiers up and make a lot of noise, I do that down in the kind of the creative space. Um, but really, honestly, and the best place to do it is where you're comfortable. Um, it can either be a big room, a small hallway. I've noticed that I sound better singing and playing guitar in a hallway. Um, so every now and then I will wander upstairs with my guitar. My wife's like, "Go downstairs."
Have
You
you
have a
tried
schedule for that.
have you tried singing in the crapper? The ambience there is really good too.
Well, I should probably give it a try.
The acoustics, I'm just saying the acoustics, it's like a little hallway. That's great.
Yeah, yeah,
Can you
I
say
give it a shot.
can you say a little bit, you had mentioned before how music heals you. Can you say a little bit about that? I mean, obviously playing it and expressing it, but is there other thoughts you have about how music or the guitar specifically has helped with healing?
Well, I mean, it really helps me kind of combat stress or anxiety. Um, Gives me something to focus on instead of kind of having your mind going all over the place. So that's one thing that really, really helps me. Um, and so I would say to anybody out there who's wanting to learn how to play guitar, be patient with yourself. Um, Practice, yes, but don't set these super high expectations that you're going to be like, you know, the lead guitarist for the, you know, a heavy rock band. It's like, pace yourself. Um, and be patient with yourself. You know, allow yourself the time to actually learn. What I've learned, essentially, what you've heard in my music, is the same things that I've been doing for 20 years. Um, I don't know a lot. I know enough to be creative. Um, but there's, you know, I kind of get that same way. I mean, I get impatient with my own work. I'll sit down here in the studio for 9 hours recording track after track after track. And then I listen to it at the end and I don't like something about it. And so I scrap the whole project. And someone in Denver told me that you need to stop deleting your creativity.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, message received. Um, so, yeah, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm just kind of work on
That's
that later.
great advice.
So,
That's great advice because there's almost like you're sometimes in a space where you're creating and then there's a space where you're editing. And you
yeah.
don't want to throw out the creative part, even though because the editing is kind of the value judgment that you're putting on it. So,
And it can be overwhelming. That's why I say be patient with yourself. You know, when you're trying to write music, you're trying to get a nice melody to it, be patient with yourself, right? It's going to happen.
Great
Um,
advice.
but, allow yourself the freedom to kind of pursue it with some patience. Um, when it comes to, if you're trying to record some stuff and you're using like a garage band or whatever digital audio workstation that you're working with, it's two different hats. I mean, if you're in a mixing phase where you're adding lead guitar and rhythm and vocals and drum and bass and all this cool stuff, you're trying to mix every one of those tracks independently so that they blend really, really well with each other. Once you feel like you have a finished product in the mixing phase, you move over to the mastering phase. And that mastering phase is a new hat, right? Now you're not just going track for track, you're mixing the entirety of the song so that it all sounds like it blends really well. And it can be overwhelming. It really can. So while it is a good stress reliever to play guitar, sometimes you just need to go find a quiet space and just breathe, just kind of decompress a little bit.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Tom, if I got time for one more, Matt Barr was asking a question about the song Matthew just played. He says, Matt, you're so down to earth and amazing. I'd love to know what was going through your mind when you were singing the ages of the two people in the song and why you chose the notes you did and the chords you did and how they matched up.
So when it came to writing I remember, really, I had the melody for it kind of already down. I'd been playing through it. I just didn't have anything lyric wise. One day in the car, I was just driving along, I was just kind of thinking about, either high school or outside of high school or the first job, and kind of what were my 20s like and my 30s. And, now I'm up there in 40. So I'm like, I can't remember my 20s. It was kind of just the thought of remembering something. So I decided to focus on something that I love. I love my family, my wife and my kids. So I just tried to kind of create a nice little kind of image. I remember, when I was a young kid in high school going to the local pool, saw a really pretty girl. And although I was nervous, I was staring at her and she shot me a look and I freaked out, like that isn't necessarily how I met my wife, but it paints a really, really good picture that other people can connect to. And those ages, I just kind of, however they would rhyme together. But it's just kind of, as we go through time, and we look back and we can remember all those things that really, really matter. I don't remember everything, but I remember the things that mattered, and so my family, my wife and my kids, and, and then kind of it's, we're all heading in the same direction someday, that sad departure from each other. But I know that even though I'm left here with grief, I know I'm going to see her again, and things like that. So you paint a nice picture that, hey, although, life is kind of fleeting, you still hold on to hope. So.
All right. Paul, thanks. I think, Matt, it might be time to get you to play another one of your songs for us. And maybe if you can also, do you have one? Am I putting you on the spot? Wait, you have two albums worth. What am I asking?
I'm going to get a couple here.
Yeah, I mean, if you have, or if you would like, because you do have some interesting stories to share, and maybe any of the stories that you've shared, if you've got that one tied to a song. But hey, it's your choice. You've got some interesting topics that you and I have talked about offline. It's your call.
Well, so I mentioned the song about my dog, right? So I'm gonna play
that'd be
that
good.
one. Everyone's best friend. I mean, come on.
Okay.
So I'll play that one, but it does kind of sound like a tumultuous relationship. But you could also very well be like, nah, he's got a rotten dog, So I'll play that one for you.
Real good. Matthew Jones, everyone.
Remember how it goes. And I wake up every day to the same old thing. drained of energy in a struggle to ease the pain. My mind's on overload, when will it all end? And I gave you everything, and this is what I get. You sink your teeth in everything, and you tear it all apart. I wish I could hate you for breaking my heart. And if you're out to torture me, this soul wound that starts to bleed. I wish I could let you go, but your teeth are sank into my bones. Another promise you're bound to break. And I was foolish for thinking you would change. Can we fix this, or is it the end? And I never thought this would come from my best friend. You sink your teeth in everything, and you tear it all apart. I wish I could hate you for breaking my heart. And if you're out to torture me, this soul wound that starts to bleed. I wish I could let you go, but your teeth are sank into my bones. Do you remember the day we met? Those were the days that I never will forget. But those days are gone now, and we have to choose. You are stuck with me, and I am stuck with you. You sink your teeth in everything, and you tear it all apart. I wish I could hate you for breaking my heart. And if you're out to torture me, this soul wound, it starts to bleed. I wish I could let you go, but your teeth are sank into my bones.
Matthew Jones, everyone. Oh my. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. That thinking of other things other than what it was intended for. It's amazing what songwriting can do. You do have the power to tell the story the way you want and let those experience it on their own, right?
Yeah, it tells a story. Um, what story does it tell? You know, it's
Mm.
unique with every person that gets to hear it. So
Making it relatable, right? Is that something that comes to mind when you songwrite, or is this something that you hope for the best that people can relate to that particular message in any song that you write?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. Now, I want to add that we do have another guitar vets instructor, coordinator, regional coordinator who is Karen Dunn. And
Uh-oh.
Karen, hey, we need to talk a little bit about performing because you've now had that opportunity to perform in front of audiences, both blinded by the light and seeing everything before you, all 800 people. But Karen was she was telling me a little bit about meeting you up when you had won the award, and this was in Denver. But I don't have the full story. So, Karen, welcome. Thank you for joining me as a co-host on the show this evening. Tell me a little bit about what you remember from Matthew's performance and even the experience um, in Denver.
Hey, Matthew.
What's up, trouble?
Listen, I was super excited when I saw your name because, as you know, I am very proud of everyone that is involved with the Creative Arts Festival. So I think you should tell them how you got involved with that and how it works. I don't know how many veterans are on, hopefully all of you, but it's a really great opportunity. Selfishly, it's a great opportunity for me as a nurse at the VA to be able to go. And it was such an honor to meet you and Devin and a lot of the other very talented veterans. So share how you got there.
So yeah, you mentioned Devin. That's his fault. Um, so I Devin Stewart is he's one of my veteran buddies. He lives up in Alaska, and he had done something that I'd never heard of. It was the National Veterans Creative Arts Competition, um, and Devin chose to write a song that was just an absolutely amazing song. And I had moved to Nebraska, so I was kind of seeing things pop up on Facebook. What's Devin doing? And I saw this, and it kind of blew my mind. I was like, "Holy smokes, Devin's out there doing it!" Um, and so, I mean, a little while had passed, and me and him wind up on the phone with each other, and he's talking about it because, I mean, I brought it up. Like, hey, what was that all about? Like, holy smokes, man! Like, that's an amazing song. And so he told me about the National Creative Arts Competition, and then told me I should do it. And I was like, okay, yeah, right. Um, but he's persistent. So he told me, hey, you seriously should consider trying this. And what I had learned from that point on was, I mean, there is just a plethora of amazingly talented people out there, um, writing, painting, woodworking, wood burning, making jewelry. What was it like? Dance, and there's an amazing group of people. And when I first got to Denver, um, I was armored up. Like I didn't want to rub elbows with anybody. I didn't really want to kind of you know, mix it up or whatnot. And by the second day, I was like, what did I bring armor for? Like these people are awesome, So they're just so inviting. You get to network and meet all these other veterans, and they're from all over the place. Like I said, national, right? So they're from all over the place. Um, I met just a lot of really cool people, and should I back up? Okay, from like how I reacted when I found out that I won. A little shocked, but it was an amazing thing to go out there and meet everybody. And when you get to talk to people, um, you really start to find out that you have a lot more in common than you have different. Um, I mean, I'm still communicating with people I met in Denver, some on a regular basis. Um, Done some collaborations with several of them. So it's an exciting thing. So if you don't know about National Veterans Creative Arts Festival, get in touch with your VA and ask them about it. Um,
Trust me.
it was right outside of my comfort zone, which is where I didn't want to go, but I went there, and I can tell you, just accept the possibility that you know you do have something to offer, that you can get out there and share, because you're not fighting this alone. We're all in it together. And I would be nothing if I was a person who didn't tell you about it and say this really was kind of a thing that really changed my life, for the better. I no longer let those intrusive thoughts kind of say what they need to say about me. It's like, I got this. Is it going to be challenging? Absolutely. um, but I think that if you step outside your comfort zone and you get involved with the creative arts community within your VAs, that you're going to see that the juice is very worth the squeeze. Okay, so yeah, don't sell yourself short. Talk to them about it because it's amazing.
It is. And if anybody needs any information, I'm happy to give it. But you could come there and you can have a crazy person come hug you because Matthew didn't even know me and I was like,
You didn't know who she was. She knew Devin. Devin knew me. She's like, oh, hugs.
hey.
Hey, Karen, what's your address? Is it Karen at guitarsforvets.org?
Yes.
It is. So now I know that we have a lot of um, Cav Arts people who are watching. Thank you for joining us this evening. And if you don't know about Guitars for Vets, um, make sure to stop by our website as well, too, guitarsforvets.org. Okay. Thanks, Karen. It's good to see you. See you next time. Oh man, this is awesome. So in terms of performing, all right, uh, did you ever see yourself thinking that, all right, I've got music and now I'm going to perform? And more importantly, have you lined up any gigs to share any of the songs that you're sharing with us tonight?
I did. I did. Um, so no, I mean, just the last couple months. I mean, I did a podcast episode with Hero Stock Nation podcast. Jason Steiner and those guys out there, great group of people. Doing this with you, and I have Dad's Man Cave is another podcast episode I'm going to be doing on the 19th of February, and
Making your
then
rounds.
April 4th I'm going to be up at 88 Tactical in Omaha, doing a 2-hour set there. And I should be playing in May for Hero Stock Smoke Off event.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm just like,
You're making your rounds for sure with
you
your
know,
guitar this time.
every time I play, let's not kid anybody here. Every time I play, I'm sweating bullets. I'm nervous. I'm like, I mean, even in the Reese Across America video, when Jeff Pierce was giving a little introduction to me, I took the longest route to get to the stage.
It took a little while until he directed you to say this way.
Wiping my hands on my jeans. I'm just like,
yeah.
So
That was
every time I'm nervous. So I don't know how to make that go away. If anybody's got pointers.
Let's talk a little bit about guitar. I mean, obviously, you know, watching you play, and for those students or graduates who are watching, our guitar learners, you're not doing anything complicated with playing those chords. They're open chords for the most part. You've got a couple of bar chords in there too. When did you think you were good enough on guitar to write music? Did you have to work at it to say I got to achieve all of these open chords and maybe a few bar chords before I started songwriting? Or it's like, I'm songwriting, I need to do this matching of music with songs. Well, how did that come about?
Honestly, I just kind of stuck to the basics. You know, just like you said, the open chords. Started writing, and I don't know, I would say not too long into writing, it was like, okay, I need to try something else. All these songs sound sad. So, so yeah, it's hard to write an upbeat song. But no, I don't know. It's just, it's one of those, I played the same things over and over and over again. I tried to mix up the progression. A lot of the strumming is the same. Like it works. So.
Well, hey, you know, I'll say that the majority of guitar students that I've had, I mean, we teach them just the foundational stuff. Unless, of course, they've been playing a while, then we'll go ahead and add in a few intermediate level things. And they're writing songs. So it's, you know, and then let me take you to this door about collaboration. When you do songwrite, have you ever thought about collaborating with others, or maybe you have? And what's been your experience with that?
I love collaborating, but what I've noticed about collaborating with other artists is you want to make sure that you're not setting the bar or your expectations really, really high. You may have somebody who is very strong lyrically, who can kind of just come up with things right on the spot, and you have another person who's that's strong, you know, with the guitar or the melody. Very few times what I say what they call kind of the lightning bolt, where both those things hit and boom, you got a hit song. You know, the lightning bolt doesn't happen all the time. So yeah, I mean, don't set the bar too high and just go crazy. Yeah, learn to play, you know, weaknesses and strengths. You know, well, if I'm not very good lyrically, or I can't come up with something on the spot, well, that person can. So I'll give them the mic to kind of take the lead there while I focus elsewhere. You know, and together you both create a really really awesome piece. So
There can be plenty to go around sometimes, you know. It's kind of like, okay, I'll focus on this verse, you take this chorus, or let's write a melody together. There's so much that anyone can contribute. Um, do you have a preference one over the other? Writing by yourself versus collaboration?
well, I mean, I think right personal.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
do like writing by myself because it's where I get to be honest with myself. You know, like I'm sitting in a space by myself, pen and paper, or on the computer with my guitar, and I get to kind of, like I can talk out loud, like, "What are you doing? That didn't sound worth
Mhm.
anything."
Yeah. Yeah.
Or that's what you decided to sing about. Scratch that. I can be, brutally honest with myself. Um, but I mean, I do enjoy collaborating with other artists because they bring like a fresh set of eyes,
Mhm.
imagine imagine you have this beautiful painting pictured and you have seen it 15 years one way, and someone comes over and goes, "Oh, I really like how that's like that." And you're like, "What?" You know,
Yeah.
they just created a whole new piece. So, um, I think that collaborating with other artists, while it can be challenging, uh, I like a challenge. So that's what I
Now,
would.
let me ask you the question of the hour. And we're coming up. Actually, we're actually in overtime right now. But I got one more music related question. I want to encourage our guests this evening who've joined us to put your questions in the chat feature because Paul's going to come back one more time to get to those questions. And if you're a songwriter, this is your opportunity to go ahead and ask Matt a question. So my final music related question goes to music theory. And I would be interested to find out from you, do you find that it is something that you rely on quite a bit, or is it not anything that you consider? Is it something that, occasionally I will go ahead and mess around with some music theory concepts, just out of curiosity where you stand on music theory?
Yeah, yeah. No, I get it completely, 100%. Steel trap, yeah. No, I have. It's it's hit and miss, like,
Yeah,
because when you start talking about music theory, I mean, you could really get into the weeds about it,
sure. Yeah.
which can be kind of overwhelming and confusing. So, like, I still don't know what the cage system is. I've been playing for 20 years, so but
Happy to talk with you about that offline later. Or Paul,
$40 an
better,
hour.
better, I was gonna say, better add him to my queue. No, no, that's cool. I mean, Matthew, there are a lot of musicians who don't read music, right? They
I
play by
don't.
feel, which is awesome. So yeah, I mean, everyone has their own path. I'm just curious to find out, if there's any, tie into lessons and theory, or just the basics, just teaching you the foundation of how to play a guitar is enough to get you started to become a songwriter. And then the journey, which it's a lifetime journey. It's something that you pick up things along the way from people that you meet, and maybe you take lessons or you focus on a particular technique, but it's a wonderful journey. And I know you're on it. You started the songwriting path. You've been playing guitar for a while, and there's so much more that awaits you. And I'm excited to see where you are going to end up with all of this. We want you to come back, of course, and share with us those stories of those experiences. But I think we're close to wrapping it up. Get one more song ready, Paul. You're on deck here. But let me just read a little bit about Guitars for Vets, who we are. We're a 501(c)(3) nonprofit organization. Our cyber chapter allows veterans to enroll in the G4V program free of charge and complete 11 weekly online private lessons. These lessons are individualized and designed to help veterans learn guitar at their own pace. Upon learning our program, veterans will receive a new acoustic guitar and all of the accessories needed to continue playing the instrument. Registration for G4V's Cyber chapter opens the first day of every month, and you just missed it. But we'll do it again next month. Remains open until full capacity has been reached. For more details and to also support our mission, go to our website, guitarsforvets.org. Help us put music in the hands of our heroes. Paul, I'm going to bring you up right now, and you tell me if there are any questions that are out there that we could throw at Matthew before we ask him for one last song.
Yes, Mr. Aardvark has kind of an observation. Your singing voice and your confidence in your singing voice, was it always there? And how does that like define your sound?
So I'm gonna be completely honest. I have zero confidence in my singing voice, right? Like I'm my own worst critic. So I'll play something and sing it and record it, and I'll go back and listen. And I'm like, oh my god. It's just something that, you know, I feel like I probably should take lessons, just so I can actually reach those upper registers and be more confident with my voice. But I also know that the only person I can sound like is me, you know. I mean, because if we're completely honest, if I go to play a 2-hour set somewhere and I'm playing a song exactly how the original artist played it, I mean, you could have put money in a jukebox, you know. But if you have me there, all I can sound like is me. So I'm gonna give you the best version I can, and you know, I mean, I am my own worst critic. Like I played a 2-hour set at 88 Tactical in December, and I listened to every single song that I played. I'm just critiquing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a consistent thing that I'm working on. Yeah, I got zero confidence in my vocals.
This might be a good follow-up then. Ken wants to know, what would you say your songwriting strength is?
Well, I mean, I write a lot of sad stuff.
So sadness is your strength.
I mean, and it sounds weird to say, like, I write a lot of really, really sad stuff. I try to tell a story, and usually that story has, you know, a variety of ups and downs. Some more so are downs, but I think that, you know, kind of when you're down in the mud and the muck of life, you know, people need to have someone down there who's like, hey, I've been here before. You know, it's not that bad. I know a way out. You know, and you kind of champion other people's, you know, dreams and what they, you know, aspire to be. So yeah, step forward with kindness no matter what you do. As long as you step forward with kindness, it doesn't matter where your feet land. So
Thank you.
Matthew, you've got one more song for us?
yeah, this one. So this is probably the first song I ever wrote in Afghanistan. Tried to paint a picture of, you know, a spouse back at home with the kids and the family, you know, writing letters to her husband who's deployed, and just not knowing where he's at, not knowing how he's doing, the constant worry. And then when he finally gets the letter and responds to her, you know, he's saying, like, I don't know why you worry as much as you do, you know. And then it takes a turn. There's a traumatic event that happens at the end. But the hook, I think, is probably the best part about it. So yeah, I think you're gonna like this one.
All right, Matthew Jones, everyone.
Could be done as a duet. So
Oh, well, who do you have in mind?
playing both parts, the lady and the man.
Oh, well, anyone out there interested?
We can leave Karen's mic open.
Yay. All right.
Yeah.
All right,
The
Matthew.
portion of this would be the female vocalist, but
Very good. All right. Let's hear it.
Hey, hey there, baby. Oh, well, I miss you. Where have you been? I know you can't tell me life here without you. Oh, well, it's harder than I had imagined. So in that meantime, I'll keep doing what I've always been. And I pray, and I pray, and I pray, and I pray for you. I don't know why you worry as much as you do. Tell the kids that Daddy misses them, how much I love them, and I'll be home soon. Believe in me, baby. Oh, just like I believe in you. And in with that meantime, I'll keep doing what I always do. And I pray, and I pray, and I pray, and I pray for you. I lost a friend. He took a bullet intended for me, and I couldn't believe what about his wife and all of their dreams. We tried so hard, all of a sudden his body gave in. So I wrapped my arms around him, oh, and I screamed out, screamed into the wind. And I pray, and I pray, and I pray, and I prayed for him.
Matthew Jones of Matthew's Anthem.
Oh.
Sir, what a wonderful time it has been talking with you. I have to say, I was excited to talk with you during our planning discussions, and our mutual friends had such great things, and it's wonderful spending time with you to hear your stories and your songs. Can you let us know where to find all of the things that you're putting out there?
So you can go to Matthew's Anthem on YouTube. I'm trying to submit as much as I can. You know, when I got the new project. But you can go to Matthew's Anthem on YouTube. I have some finished projects there. Of course, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Yeah, I haven't pulled the trigger on Spotify yet, but it's coming. It's coming. So, yeah, those are kind of the spots you can find me.
Final thoughts for guitar learners.
Be patient with yourself. I mean, I still get frustrated with the things that I don't know. And I've been playing for 20 years, so just be patient with yourself. If you were meant to learn it, it'll happen. But patience is where you start that journey. So,
And for songwriters, what's your final thoughts?
practice, 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 right? Like I said, everyone wants to, sit back and admire a really, really cool painting, a really beautiful painting. But that doesn't happen if the painter doesn't approach the canvas. So just like a beautiful song, that really speaks volumes and, transcends generations of people, get your practice in, make time to write. You're going to see that you'll get better and better the more you do. So repetitions matter, but also be patient with yourself.
Sir, thank you much. Thank you all for watching Song Sung True, a Veteran's View. We hope you've enjoyed our conversation with U.S. Army veteran and Nebraska singer-songwriter Matthew Jones of Matthew's Anthem. On the next episode of Song Sung True, a Veteran's View, we'll be joined by Schaefer Muller, a U.S. Army veteran and a singer-songwriter who proudly hails from Virginia. Schaefer will join us from Alaska, where he's currently living and performing at venues there for his friends, family, and everyone else. That's 1 week from tonight, Wednesday, February 12th, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. Until then, be sure to check out our live event programming schedule at the Guitars for Vets Learning Center for our monthly iJam play-along, which is tomorrow, the Guitars for Vets Guitar Shop this Saturday, and then the Guitars for Vets Guitar Brigade, which is coming up next week. Or is it next week? No, it's 2 weeks. It's the 19th. That's right, the 19th. So check that out on our calendar. cavarts.org is open to all veterans, really, at no cost. So get your the word out to everyone. If they're a veteran, come check us out. And Karen, of course, karen.dunn2@va.gov. That was her address that she's left on the chat. Anyway, with that said, I'm Tom Lamog. I'm going to see you next time, hopefully tomorrow at the iJam. Until then, thanks again for watching, and good night.
Thomas.